DC crime, on DC crime, sir, on DC crime.
Do you have a message for the Democrat lawmakers like Nancy Pelosi or media who are saying, after living here for many years, that there is no crime and you're trying to start a new news cycle?
It's another reason why the Democrats lost the election in a landslide. They lie. It's just lie. Look, the crime is very bad. I think they'd be much better off saying, we want to.
It's so funny that right after he just like spent 5 minutes monologuing about how he stopped so many wars single-handedly, that there are wars you've never even heard of that he has stopped. In his mind, he started wars just to stop them. That's the kind of guy he is. That's how much he loves peace. He turns around and is like, Democrats are lying. He's just that good, man.
Help President Trump with the crime because it's an epidemic. It's a tragic situation. It's the worst it's ever been. And we want to help President Trump with the crime as opposed to he's a dictator. He's a dictator. People are so happy to see our military going into D.C. and getting these thugs out. As you know, we arrested a lot of people yesterday. We arrested a lot of people today. We're getting people that have arrest records that you wouldn't believe. 28 arrests, 15 arrests, brutal, brutal people. And we're going to have to do something about this cashless bail because people shoot somebody, they kill somebody, and they're out on the street in less than an hour.
That is not correct, man. What the is he saying? No, man, that's not how this works. People are so stupid. I'm done. I can't believe it, bro. He literally is saying you shoot someone and then because of no cash bail, the judge just looks at a guy who is literally a risk, an ongoing risk to other people. He shot someone, right? And he goes, oh, well, I guess you can go free because otherwise, in normal circumstances, we just have like a really high bail that you wouldn't be able to pay for, and that's how I'd keep you in. That's not how it works. Judges literally have leniency over like whether or not someone is a risk to others. And there's no bail process. There's no financial incentive. It just simply means rich people can't get away with doing crimes and then having freedom, whereas poor people get trapped. That's it. No cash bail doesn't mean people go free, man. What the Yeah. It has always been and always will be up to the judge's discretion. And in this circumstance, the judge can be lenient and allow someone to leave for minor crimes or not, understandably, not let anybody go if they killed someone. If they've been charged with murder, no judge is going to be like, well, we don't have a bail system, so I guess you can leave now. You're so stupid.
Now, that's when it's all started in New York, in Chicago, Los Angeles. You take a look. If we didn't go to Los Angeles to help this incompetent governor and a mayor that doesn't know what the hell she's doing, if we didn't go to Los Angeles, you wouldn't have a big part of it burned down. The other part of it would have burned down, too. You would have not had, I don't think you would have been able to have the Olympics. We have the Olympics. I have a lot at stake with that because I'm the one that got the Olympics. I got it in my first term. And I was saddened because I got it for what would be my third term, okay, which turned out to be second term. And the Olympics, it's a great honor, but I felt badly because I said I won't be president when the Olympics came. Well, through circumstance, I am president. I want to make sure the Olympics is great, the World Cup is great, and the 250, maybe the most important of all, is the 250-year celebration is great. So what's happening is we will work very hard. You would not have had.
You are listening live to President Trump taking questions from reporters there in the Oval Office. Nancy Chen takes over next, listening in on all of those headlines on CBS News 24/7.
Houses that burned down, where, by the way, the governor ought to focus on getting their permits. You know, the federal permits are given. Those are the hard ones, and they were given a long time ago. People can't rebuild their house because they can't get permits from the state and the city. And they ought to focus on that because it's very upsetting. I went there right after the fires. I walked the streets and I met a lot of great people that want to rebuild their homes. We took care of it from the federal standpoint. but they're not taking care of it from the city side, the mayor and the governor. They're not getting their permits. They can't build their houses.
Mr. President, on DC crime.
Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, thank you. Do you think this summit and the incentives for peace you are putting on the table could end up rewarding Putin for his invasion of Ukraine? And what kind of signal do you think that could potentially send to other aggressors?
No.
Oh my God. This is the one place where, like, that line of questioning is so stupid. Oh, if you stop the genocide, are you rewarding Hamas? If you engage in a ceasefire, are you rewarding Putin? Stop with this idiotic line of questioning, man. And I know the person that asked that question is a liberal. Like, the only contentious line of questioning should not be literally outflanking Trump from the right. God damn, dude. I hate that, like, the one opportunity the liberal journalists have in there to ask, like, a decent, maybe even adversarial question. And it's like, well, don't you think you're rewarding Putin if you were to implement a ceasefire negotiation? It's like, what are you saying?
I don't think it's a reward. I think that what we have is a situation that should never have started, should have never started. It didn't start under me, and for 4 years it wasn't even discussed. And I could see it was going to happen.
Like, the best question to ask, again, there's many questions that should be asked to Donald Trump about what comes next. But those questions should be around, like, what are the concessions that you are seeking to get out of Putin? What do you think is the most equitable solution for Ukraine's future? Do you believe in Ukrainian sovereignty in this process? Like, there are a million questions you could ask, none of which is, why do you think you should do a ceasefire at a time when Russia is winning? Why don't you think you're rewarding Russia? It's like, no, man, he's rewarding Russia. Putin is rewarding Russia by just continuing to pummel Eastern Ukrainian positions. You're an idiot.
After I left, I could see what was happening. Everything that we did was wrong. Everything that was done was wrong. Everybody's to blame. Putin's to blame. They're all to blame. This is a war that would have never happened.
Mr. President, on DC crime.
The other question on LA, Mr. President, earlier today, the Washington, D.C. police chief issued an executive order allowing Metropolitan police officers conducting traffic stops to notify federal immigration and customs enforcement about undocumented immigrants that they encounter. Yet the city has a long-standing pro-immigration policy, including allowing non-citizens to vote in local elections.
Which is ridiculous.
And limiting cooperation with federal immigration agencies.
Right.
Did your administration pressure the D.C. police chief to review and repeal these policies? And will you require other cities to roll back similar policies to avoid possible federal takeover of local law enforcement?
So what you're saying is that it was a very positive thing. When they stop people, they find they're illegal, they report them, they give them to us, etc. That's a very positive thing. I have heard that. It just happened. That's a great step. That's a great step if they're doing that. Yeah, I think that's going to happen all over the country. We want to stop crime. I think if the Democrats aren't strong on this issue, they won't be able to do it. I think this is a bigger issue than all of the other ridiculous things that they like open borders. Well, open borders is bad. Open borders has caused a lot of this problem, allowing millions and millions. I think 24 million people were allowed to come into our country. Many of these people from prisons, from jails, from mental institutions. This was the Biden policy. And I don't believe it was him. He was never there before. It was the people that encircled this very beautiful desk, the Resolute desk, radical left lunatics who were smart, but radical left. And I'm very happy to hear what you just said, because I've heard that.
And Mr. President, on LA, if I may, the mother of a 15-year-old California boy who was briefly detained at gunpoint in a case of mistaken identity. The LAUSD superintendent says that surveillance video shows armed agents wearing police and border patrol insignia. Given the National Guard, the Border Control, ICE agents, they're not trained in local policing. What specific steps are you taking to ensure that young people are not put in harm's way?
Fucking finally a good question. Holy shit. Which, by the way, insane situation. Wow. 16 minutes in, we got one real question, bro. That's crazy. 16 minutes in. This is the bare minimum. This is the basic function of journalism, dude. Wait, did this guy, good question from the guy who said illegals are voting. Wait, he said that first?
with these types of operations?
Yeah, what they are trained in is common sense, and they're very tough people. And they have great common sense, and they are highly trained. I heard the mayor of L.A. was saying, "Oh, they're not trained this way." I heard this character from where was he from? They talk about him as a candidate. He's got no chance. The governor of Maryland. I watched him this morning saying that the governor of Maryland. Yeah, they say maybe he'll be a president. He's not presidential timber at all. But I heard him today talking about how the National Guard or the military is not trained in police, but they're trained in common sense, and they're trained in not allowing people to burn down buildings and bomb buildings and shoot people and all of the things. They've done a great job. Again, if we didn't send them, and very importantly, if we didn't send them into Los Angeles, the rest of Los Angeles would have been burned down to the ground. When you look at Minneapolis, I sent them into Minneapolis because the governor wouldn't make the call. If I didn't do that, you wouldn't have a Minneapolis. It wouldn't be, I don't think it would be existent today. You remember the famous scene burning over the CNN anchor's shoulder? He said, everything seems to be very peaceful. And behind him, the whole city's burning down. So you had the whack job governor who ran for vice president and made a fool out of himself. You would have had, I saved that city. I'll tell you, I saved that city. So the bottom line is these are very tough people that are trained in a thing called common sense, and they're also trained in doing what we're talking about right now. And you watch crime stop, but you wouldn't have Los Angeles. It wouldn't be existent today. We would have had to cancel the Olympics if I let that go on.
Mr. President, are you concerned at all, Mr. President?
This is so funny, man. I can't tell if he's just like lying or he genuinely is hallucinating. Not that it matters because it's fake, but I live here, man. And I've been to the fucking protest. He literally federalized the National Guard for no reason, sent the Marines in for no reason. They didn't do dick. It was mostly the local police that was just like brutalizing the protesters and moving them away from federal law enforcement because the federal law enforcement was like actively trying to open fire on said protesters. The notion that if they weren't there that the city would burn down is so stupid. They didn't do shit. They just sat there. Like, I don't think it's good that most of the things that are coming out of the president's mouth are just like not true. Like, you barely saw any of the protests too. No, he wasn't talking about, when he said fire, he was talking about the fires. He was saying that like they lit LA on fire, not the wildfires. He was claiming that the 5 Waymos that were burned were actually burning the entire city, if not the state, to the ground. Yeah, that's what he's talking about. He's talking about the Waymos, bro. It's just like, I don't know what to, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like, everything he's saying is wrong. Not only do I live here, but I was there. The idea that like LA was on fire is so crazy. And there isn't even enough like footage to prove this. Like, normally the media will constantly circulate the same images over and over again. This time it was such a small protest overall. Like, it wasn't a small protest necessarily, but it was like so specific in where the protest was taking place. Like, it was so localized that like there wasn't even enough like imagery that you could point to claim that LA was on fire. It was just the 3 burning Waymos. That's it. And yet Donald Trump still acts as though that was the case. That like the entirety of LA was on fire, and he bravely sent the brave Marines to go and like shoot the protesters, I guess. And only then was he able to stop these incredibly dangerous protests that were about to burn the entire city on fire. Meanwhile, we were there. We were getting shot at. It was awful when you were like around the cops. And then a couple blocks over, we went to Little Tokyo, and we got ice cream. What do you mean the entire city's on fire? What the are you talking about? But it just sucks because it's just so, like, it's just so fake. Everything is fake. Everything he's saying is a lie.
You pressure Israel to allow journalists into Gaza to cover the humanitarian efforts the U.S. is pursuing, and
I'd like to see that happen, Joe.
Would you pressure?
I would like to see it happen. I would be very fine with journalists going in. It's a very dangerous position to be in, as you know, if you're a journalist. But I would like to see it.
And on tariffs, Brazil, Mexico, and Latin America are getting closer to China And they say it's partly because of the tariffs you're imposing those countries. Are you concerned?
You literally walk past the 3 Waymos? Yeah, I know. It was nothing. It was inconsequential. Right, like a couple feet away from the burning Waymos were the cops beating the out of tax-paying citizens with gear that they purchased with the same taxes those tax-paying citizens were paying for. They were spraying chemical weapons on tax-paying American citizens exercising their First Amendment rights. Who gives a That's like entirely unacceptable. That's way worse than the Waymo shit. And 3 Waymos in one of the largest cities is not the city on fire. It's the same shit like Portland. People literally think Portland just like burned to the ground, dude. People think like, oh man, BLM protests like Seattle burned to the ground. It's like, no, that didn't happen. That's what he was talking about with Minneapolis. It's just like, I don't know. What do you do with that? What do you do with that? What do you do with that? What do you do with that when the president is just lying and no one is going? I don't think that's what happened. Like every part of that story is a lie. City didn't burn down. Donald Trump didn't do anything other than send the Marines there, but the Marines didn't do shit. He just hallucinated an entirely alternative reality.
Them getting closer to China?
No, not at all. I'm not concerned at all. They can do what they want. None of them are doing very well. And what we're doing in terms of economics, we're blowing everyone away, including China. We're doing better than any other country in the world right now. Brazil has been a horrible trading partner in terms of tariffs. As you know, they charge us tremendous tariffs, far, far more than we were charging them. We weren't charging anything, essentially. And Brazil has some very bad laws.
Let's continue with this shit.
The soldiers that we have, first of all, we have plenty of them, long beyond what that you have here. We're just using a very small force. You know, in Washington, D.C., they have thousands of police. They have a lot of police. But the police weren't allowed to do their job. We have a lot of great ones. And you have some that weren't so good, to be honest, but they weren't allowed to do their job. But now they are allowed to do their job. And essentially it's only 2 days, but you look at the numbers already, they're dropping. And no, they're not being pulled off for anything.
Mr. President, as you know, there were some very concerning reports about crime statistics. Police are manipulating crime data to downplay crime in D.C. Will the administration release its own crime statistics to counter their misinformation? And will those individuals who are intentionally misrepresenting crime data and fudging the books, like you said, be penalized for endangering the public?
They are under investigation.